In 2018, UN Women, in association with African Women and Child Feature Services, embarked upon an extensive project to document stories from women in political leadership in Kenya. The object was to detail reasons why there still remain such few women in key positions of political power. The interviews were designed to spotlight why women still face challenges of victimization, propaganda, harassment, intolerance, and discrimination, and to underline the determination required for women to stand equal within a political society dominated by men. It is to serve as an inspiration to a new generation of women who are prepared to walk the same journey.
I joined politics. What convinced me was the women in my constituency. They gave me the reasons why they thought I should vie for a political seat as their member of parliament. And for a while I was not convinced. But we discussed it, and I got a few threats from our Council of Elders. So I decided, I made a decision, and I went into the by-election that time. Of course I was not so ready, but a lot of things happened. I didn't know how to protect myself. I didn't know how to protect the votes. It was a very murky by-election. Some youth lost his life. Our house was almost burnt. They poured petrol around it. They pelted my mother with stones. They took my 3-year-old son. They wanted to put him in a pit latrine. They beat up my house girl who tried to protect my son. But here I am today. I'm doing my 4th term.
Politics, as a woman, you need to learn that you don't give a damn. People will always use sexual issues against you. One day I was attacked in parliament. The men beat me up and undressed me. Then they go out and tell people I undressed myself. If I was bothered about it, I would never vie again. But you must also learn, which is, I think, one of my greatest assets, is the ability to poke fun at myself. All that requires a very healthy ego. And I think I have lots of that.
First thing that I knew was a challenge was the physical violence that a lot of women were being, meted on by their male challengers. And at that time, actually, it happened to a lot of my supporters. That's the first time I saw it firsthand, that women were actually raped in my constituency just because they were supporting me.
I don't know what it is about our society. I think we are still very much patriarchal. And so when we see a woman present themselves in politics, the challenges we face, the attacks we face, are not the same as the ones men face. Ours are very personal. People really go personal. You can't even repeat some of the things they end up doing or saying. And that can be tough. When you're a mother and you have children and they are reading some of those things on Facebook, it gets very uncomfortable. And so those would be there are very many low moments. Also insults from podiums and platforms by men. I mean, insults that have nothing to do with service. With service delivery or your office. Just personalized insults. And they know how to target women, and they know exactly what to say to make you think, is this thing worth it?
For a candidate, it's normal for you to get vulgar, they use negative languages, but that is normal. When we were trained, we were told how to handle people like that. So some would tell you, now this disabled woman, why don't you wait for another nomination? Why are you coming to contest here? They're not looking at your quality, your capability as a leader, but they're looking at your disability. But that did not stop me from doing whatever I wanted to do.
I was seeking an elective position for woman rep, and my culture, this seat traditionally they think should be held by a woman who is married and who has children. In my case, I was totally the opposite. I was not married and I did not have children. And I received a lot of vilification that I should go elsewhere. Some even said I'm married in Luoland. Some say she's not married, she doesn't have children. Through that, it really emboldened me and made me more resolved to go ahead.
There is a special place in hell for women who fight other women. So when you're a woman leader, if you have a problem with woman X, keep quiet. If you cannot support her, if you think what she's done is wrong, just keep quiet. But when women are used to fight other women, what we call PhD, pull her down, that to me becomes the reason why I can't understand how far we will ever go. What can be the biggest impediment to us saying this story is now over and we are moving on? And for me, one of them is leadership of women being committed. Being committed, first of all, to this agenda of supporting other women, and women leaders not pulling down her sister.
Women, they have capacity to run for those positions, especially in terms of personality. But the challenge is, do they have finances? They are not empowered equally with men to run for those positions because men, they pour off money. And politics in Kenya is about money.
The moment I said I was vying, even within the law society that I had served as a leader, and I was still a leader, I still had some male colleagues asking me questions like, since when did you become a politician? They had forgotten that I was mobilizing them to sign statements, that I had already demonstrated leadership skills. The same questions were not being asked of my male colleagues with whom we were active together. And when I went to the constituency and started campaigning, I was confronted by patriarchy. It was that girl. It was go get married once they learned that I was divorced. Go get married, look for a husband first, you know? And I was just calmly asking them, since when have you ever asked all the males who have been representing you since independence who their wives are? Don't you just look at their credentials and elect them? Why should it matter to me?
Acts of violence, propaganda, slander, and hate speech are unacceptable. Access to equal funding and economic empowerment of women must be tackled to level the playing field for women. A fundamental reason why we have not yet achieved gender equality at a government level is that women and girls' voices are too easily excluded from national decision-making. A woman's voice and her ability to become a leader in her community and the wider landscape is a foundation for empowering women.